life of danger. Everyone he meets, he stays a stranger. Read every move he makes.
Well, hello, folks. Welcome to a happy day, broadcasting from the People's Democratic Republic of Northern Virginia. You have your host, Gregory Junkbond Carpenter, here on The Spy Who Loves Liberty. In the production room, we have the producer, the one and only Mr. Jeff Johnson, who is out producing himself today. No, he's not out producing himself. He is producing, and he is a fabulous producer. Well, we're glad you could join us today. It's a interesting kind of day today. Uh, I wanted to open up this morning and talk about something that most people don't even think about, they don't know about, they don't look into, and they don't. I don't even think that they realize that the rules are not what you think they are. And what am I talking about? I'm actually talking about school nursing. Now you're saying, okay, Greg, why? What in the world are you talking about? I went to a meeting last night. It was an open session for the Virginia Board of Education, and these people were just about as stiff could be. I mean, that's what Board of Education people do. They're just kind of very rigid, no smiles, nothing, and they were discussing the need for nurses, psychologists, and social workers in the school. And as I researched before, because the bottom line is, I went to speak in favor of having a registered nurse in a school and the case for having a registered nurse in the school. So as I researched this, I came to find that there is no requirement to have a nurse in a school. And there's no requirement to have a registered nurse at that. It could be anybody. Some schools don't have any nurses at all. And I thought back to the time when I was a young kid. We all had nurses in school. I'm sure, Jeff, you had nurses in schools and you didn't think twice about it. It was just a natural thing that you go in there, you pass the nurse's office when you go past the front, the main office, you pass the nurse's office, you pass the counselor's office, and these were just things that we expected to be there. But yet, there's no requirement for it. And actually how can you actually function in a school, right? And not have a requirement to have a nurse there. That was what I was thinking. Years ago, public public health and public school nursing started with nurses just treating the outbreaks of diseases and increasing the number of hours that kids were able to stay in a class. But now it's changed. Now it's turned into uh, it's more chronic care is what it is. A lot of kids have allergies, diabetics. So I thought it needed some further investigation. And what I found out was staggering. For example, the cost of managing asthma in the year 2007 was $56 billion. $56 billion. You don't think medication is a big business? Well, what happened was 3.68 million lost school days were the result of kids with asthma. And I also found that there was a school district that has over 160,000 students in it. 89% of them were from low-income families. And they had no difference between asthmatic and non-asthmatic attendance. Why? For the most part, it was because they had a school nurse. They had a registered nurse in the school who was able to make decisions and take care of the students. Now, that is a small price to pay. $56 billion or a school nurse. So anyway, I went and I had a good time at the meeting. And of course, there was a lot of interesting things discussed there and a lot of interesting people. It looks like Virginia is going to include school nurses in their standards of quality from now on. And that's going to take, who knows how long that's going to take, because it's a legislative issue. And as we all know, legislative issues take forever. And thank God they take forever. Otherwise, somebody would be sliding laws in under our nose in the dead of night. I don't know, like Obamacare or something like that, without actually reading the law or looking into it or seeing what's involved with it. Yeah, Jeff, I want you to know, Jeff, are you on there?
Oh, absolutely. I am.
Okay, good. I want you to know I'm having a great cup of coffee this morning. My friend Dr. Hess, who you met at Let My People Smoke, him and his wife came over for dinner a week and a half before Let My People Smoke, and I made my my now world renowned, world famous eggplant parmesan lasagna. Next time you come down, I might make you my famous veal cutlet parmesan lasagna. You might like that.
Honestly, I like them both. So and they had an eggplant parmesan dish at Let My People Smoke, which I had second of.
I had that too. Oh my gosh, that was so good. But so anyway, so they came over. We had dinner about 2 weeks ago now, and Dr. Hess's wife reaches into her bag of tricks and she pulls out this small bag of coffee beans, and on the front of it, and I knew it was coffee bean, you could hear it right away, the shape of it and everything. And she turns it towards me and shows me the label and says JP5. I'm like, what? And Dr. Hess goes, oh yeah, Greg, those are the robust coffee beans. Those are the strong ones. I was like, yeah, JP5s used to be what we would put into the tanks, make the, I don't mean tank, I mean a tank, like an army tank. it's diesel. It's kicking, but it's also jet propulsion number 5. And boy, did that have some kick to it. I am having a cup of that this morning, and my goodness, my eyes are so wide open that you saw me when I came on. I was just when we come on the radio, folks, we have we'll actually look at each other on the camera first and wave and say hi and everything. So how wired did I look this morning? That's my question. How like on the edge of the earth did I look?
you look like you had frozen. You overwhelmed the system and you were frozen. I really did. I thought you were going to crash and leave.
Yeah, no, I was, man, I am wired for sound right now. Which takes me to smooth transitioning, talking about being wired for sound. I want to transition into my next article, which is actually an intriguing article, but also a very sad thing, because most people look to the big tech companies for help and assistance. And, well, I've been warning people for years now, don't waste your time. Don't pay for something you can get for free. Antivirus protection is only 30% effective. The best ones are 30% effective. Don't rely on them. Use them in conjunction with something else. Make sure you have anti-spyware. Make sure you have a firewall that's running. Make sure you use a VPN. Security is not a one-layer solution. Security is a multi-layer approach, and it's an active approach. So I turned to the article from Ars Technica here, and this was just posted a couple of days ago. Hackers breached 3 U.S. antivirus companies. Now, Jeff, you tell me, how does that make you feel, knowing that hackers broke into 3 antivirus companies?
Well, knowing you, nothing surprises me anymore. So I kind of expected it, but it doesn't exude, what's the word? Confidence. There we go. It doesn't exude confidence.
Very good. Very good. So, and it shouldn't, because, like I've said before, folks, do not rely on one type of security. Multilateral security. These companies were effectively breached, and information was taken from them. Information was loaded into the antivirus software that they distribute to people, which would allow the hackers' viruses to breach people's computers who use the software. It basically took the detection of the hacker software out of the distributed antivirus software that the companies were using, or the companies were sending to their customers. It's, for some folks out there, this is a game, and they're going to keep playing as long as they want. For other people, it's their livelihood. You have everything that's important on your computer, don't you? Most people put their personal information, maybe their social security number, their account information for their banks, their passwords, all those things. They put them on the computers. I'll tell you a technique that I use here. I have password files, but you know what? They're not accurate. What do you mean, Junk Bond? Well, I have spreadsheets that say password.xls. But you're never going to get the correct password and the correct user ID out of those sheets of paper. Because, why? Because I use deception. I'm telling you folks out there, they're not real. Where are my passwords? I handwrite them. I handwrite them with the camera turned off. I don't say them out loud. Why? Because your phone will record. Your phone will tell on you. Come on, how many people don't know? Your microphone on your phone is on all the time, folks. Right? Don't you know that? Hey, Siri. That's all you got to say. There she is. Hi, Siri. See, she's looking, she's listening for me all the time. And your phone does the same thing. Your phone is your tattletale device. Do not say anything in front of your phone. Suzanne's mentioned it before. She'll be talking about something, and then the next thing you know, she'll go to the computer and pull up a browser, a web browser, and what's in the columns? The advertisements for exactly what she was just talking about. Now, how in the world did that happen? Because your phone is a tattletale. It's telling on you. And that also tells me that she was using Chrome or Internet Distorter, one of those two browsers, and not using what I told her to use, which was Brave. And of course, second best choice, of course, is Firefox. But yeah, you're getting spied on all the time. Everything you do, everything you say. If you don't use a VPN on your phone, you're being spied on. And the problem with these software companies, the AV companies that were hacked, is that when they push out their distribution, they send it out through, quote, secure means. They have a secure VPN that does not share information, supposedly. However, and of course, it's supposed to just push information one way. But in order to push information one way, there's got to be a handshake. And it was during that handshake that these companies became vulnerable. And it was in the handshake that happened, like when you, and the same thing when you have PKI, public key. You have a private key, and there's a public key that everybody uses for encryption. Those two talk. You share your private key with people that you want to be able to decrypt the messages you send to them. And it opens up everything. Well, the same thing here. They have to set up the VPN. They have to make sure it goes to the right place. So on the receiving end, there has to be something, a key, that they have to be able to unlock in order to push the information to, in this example, we'll say my computer. And without that, my computer won't accept the information from those guys. And that could be a subscription, right? It could be your account number with them is what lets their computer know that your computer is a valid recipient for the information. But as it's searching for that in that process there, that's where they were vulnerable. And that's where they became compromised. There's so many ways to compromise a computer that it's just not as shallow as antivirus. Matter of fact, let me do something here. I just had an idea, and I think it's a good idea. Let's talk about the OSI model, because that'll give you a good information, a good understanding of how many different ways you can get into a computer. There's overall, so what we're going to talk about, excuse me. I should explain myself first. I'm going to go explain yourself, Lucy. The Open Systems Interconnection Model that's what the OSI model is. It's a conceptual model, and it characterizes the communication functions of computing systems. It's very common. People in the IT business refer to it all the time. They call it the OSI model, OSI framework. So there's two major layers. There's a media layer, and then there's the host layer. inside the media layers, you have three specific layers. You have the physical layer, the data link, and the network layer. The physical layer is composed of transmission and receipt of raw bit streams over a physical medium. The data link is the how would you say it? It's the reliable transmission of data frames between two nodes that are connected by a physical layer. The network layer is on top of that, and that's the structure and the management of multi-node networks. So that's where you're going to have things that we start to talk about in computers, like addressing, routing, data packet control, things like that. That's the packet level. And then you have level 4 through 7 that are in the host layers. Layer 4 is the transport layer. Now this is going to be the segmentation, multiplexing, things like that. Whatever is required to move stuff back and forth. And then the top 3 are the session, presentation, and application layers. Those are the data level layers. The session is what manages communication sessions, like the continuous exchange of data, information, or whatever, in forms of multiple transmissions back and forth between two nodes. Right? That's considered a session. And then in the presentation layer, you have like data compression, you have the encryption, character encoding, all these things. And then, of course, the top layer, which is the application layer, is so you have like high-level APIs, like resource sharing, remote file access, anything that you have on your computer, like on your phone, right? It's easier to explain with a phone. You have all your apps. You have the app store on your phone. Well, it's the same thing with computers. They run off of apps. You don't look at it that way, but that's how they function. So you might have on your phone, you'll have an app for your bank. Well, the same concept happens on the computer too, just in a little bit different way. So API, I should explain, is the application program interface, right? Or programming interface. And those are the routes and communication protocols that happen. So if you have like port 80, right, on your computer, port 80 is designed for internet, unsecure internet traffic, HTTP : //www.red.com. That's port 80 applications that are happening across there. Port 443 is secure communications. So HTTPS : //www.red.com. Each application has a different function, and each functions in a different way. Now, you can do some things over one layer or in one application that are designed for another. Okay. And you can also do things at different frequencies. For example, the screen refresh rate that you have on your computer is probably set to 60 hertz. or it's set at 75. One of those two. Those are common. So if you have a device, right, that can transmit at 60 or 75, you can match the screen refresh rate, and you can hack the computer like that. All you have to do is match the screen refresh rate. Or how about this? Your battery in your computer, that gives off and operates and functions at a specific frequency. Did you think that possibly you could hack that? Or the fan? The fan runs and gives off very low frequency, VLF. If you match the rate, you can hack the cooling device, the fan, in the computer and get access to the computer. You see where we're going with this? I don't have to rely on antivirus. There's a lot of things that are put in people's heads that they believe are going to be the see all, be all, end all, do all. It's not that way at all. That's why I tell people, do not spend money on antivirus. You have no idea how easy it is for a hacker to go around your antivirus. It's as easy as walking down the sidewalk, seeing a piece of gum in the sidewalk, and walking around the side so it doesn't get stuck on your shoe. That's how easy it is. Don't be fooled. These guys come out and say, well, we offer super awesome protection. Let me ask you this. If they offer such super awesome protection, why don't they guarantee their product? Jeff, have you ever known an antivirus company that guaranteed that you would not get a virus?
Nope. Haven't heard of one.
And you're not gonna, because they can't guarantee it. They can charge outrageous prices, but they can't guarantee it. Antivirus companies build their virus database on what's called lag measures. Lag means it's already happened. They build it off of what we call signatures, or how you identify a virus by the artifacts of that virus and by the MD5 hash, which is basically a fingerprint of the virus itself. Without it happening somewhere else, the antivirus companies don't even know what viruses are out there. So it had to have already happened for them to load it into their database of known viruses. When something new hits, you don't. And sorry again for the voice, folks. It's recovering from this respiratory issue that I'm having. I'm doing better, but I still have a ways to go before I recover. And the good thing, Jeff, is that the radiologist called Mrs. Bond yesterday and said, "Hey, by the way, it's not pneumonia; it's just severe bronchitis." So I feel so much better now knowing that it's only severe bronchitis and not pneumonia. You could tell, right? I mean, it sounds completely different.
Yeah. I feel so much better, Greg, knowing that you don't have pneumonia. I mean, bronchitis, whatever.
Yep, comes and goes. But I tell you, it still takes your breath away and leaves you in very bad situations, where I've been kind of down and out for a while now. Even at Let My People Smoke, I had that cough. I had that cough, as a matter of fact, that was residual from the sinus infection that I had. But man, oh man, I never thought it would turn into a mess like this and leave me flat on my back. I've been down and out, except for that visit to the school last night. I haven't even gotten out of the house the last few days. I've just been down flat. No chance for no chance for anything. No activities for Mr. Junk Pond, I'll tell you what. And I still have a high level of hitting the dump button, so I don't cough in everybody's ear either. But man, oh man, whew. All right, I'm back up and running again. So, yeah, back to the point of the discussion today is that I don't want people to pay for this stuff. There's really no reason for it. You can get charged 120, $160 a year just for antivirus software. And then they want to charge you for all the add-ons and all that other stuff. If you take a little bit of time to learn how the computers work, you're never going to need all that other stuff because you can do it manually yourself. And what do I mean by that? For example, how do you update? How do you update your web browser? You have an old version. It's got some vulnerabilities in it. How do you update that thing? Well, sometimes people have the automatic updates turned on their computer, and it doesn't matter if you have a Mac or if you have a Windows box. Both of them have automatic updates set on them. Or if you are a super advanced high speed person like us here, just kidding. We just happen to have Linux boxes too. Yeah, and you don't have to be high speed to use a Linux box. That's a misnomer. But even in Linux, you can set it for automatic updates, but it doesn't get everything. So I want to suggest to folks, like Suzanne, because you're out there using the Chrome browser, uh, dead giveaway, right? You go into the drop down menu and you'll see settings, and in there you'll be able to look for an update for your browser. And the same thing that is there for Firefox and for Internet Distorter. You can update all those things in the same manner. Brave will automatically search for um, its own newer version, and it will connect, and it'll do it securely, just like the antivirus companies say they're doing, but they were lazy, and they're very lazy with their coding. So that's how you get compromised. Now I wanted to share. I came across a pretty cool tool. You ever have a problem with your phones that you're browsing with your phone and it seems like it's just going very slowly. Well, I came across a very interesting application, and what it does is it speeds up your browsing. And I tried it. I downloaded it. I tried it. It's for free. A- And if you're interested, I'll tell you about it. If you're interested, you can go download it yourself and try it out for yourself. Browsing speed was noticeably faster after using this app. And the app's name is 1.1.1.1. That's it. And I know you're saying to yourself right now, "Oh, Greg, that's stupid." No, that's a basically it's a DNS lookup. So what it's doing is it's taking all of your DNS queries, your if you do like a Google search for something, it takes. Hold on a second. Pardon again for the coughing. Oh, I just can't seem to get rid of this. As I'm talking, I can feel my chest wheezing and bubbling and stuff like that. It's very, very distracting for me to try to keep that off the air too, but try to draw in enough oxygen so I can breathe. But we'll get through this today. We'll do fine. So the app is called 1.1.1.1, and you download it, and all you do is turn it on. It'll set up an automatic VPN, and it will make all of your DNS queries private and much faster. And how does it do that? Because it uses local DNS for all of your lookups. Now, Jeff, I expect you to please run out and grab this yourself, because it will make your searches up there in the backwoods of New York and Pennsylvania much, much faster. You're not going to have to wait for the internet to connect or anything like that ever again. So what's a DNS query? DNS is the domain name system, right? It's the thing that when you put in Cerberus Radio Network, it resolves it to an IP address. And if you put in an IP address in your search bar, it will resolve it back to Cerberus Radio Network. So it identifies the name, and that's why it's called the domain name system. So, for example, Google has a specific group of IP that are associated with Google. The same thing with every other website out there. But what happens is DNS is a huge, and when I say huge, I mean really, really huge system. And it's not private. So if you want to search for stuff, even in a VPN, when you hit DNS, it automatically shows your address, your computer address. And that is something that, a lot of people may not wish to have happening. So by using a local DNS of 1.1.1.1 in the app, you're going to a secure and local, 2 good points, DNS lookup to help resolve any URLs you have with IP addresses. And we sometimes throw around words, and I don't mean to do that. Uniform Resource Locators. That's what URL actually stands for. Okay. IP stands for Internet Protocol. And sometimes we use the terms in the industry, and people use them in everyday life and don't know that there's really, a name that's associated with it. And believe me, I can understand that. Because it can be a little bit overwhelming and crazy to actually, identify some of these things. But download the app, give it a shot. I think you'll find that your queries, if you're doing a search in any browser, doesn't matter what browser's there, it will search with any browser, and it just runs in the background. We took it apart here at the lab and analyzed it to see, maybe they're, shoveling off some information in the background and we don't know about it or whatever. But it turns out that we didn't identify any tunnels being in place or anything like that. So good news there. Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, I was, but I had to sneeze, so I had to
bless you, my friend.
So it's not just you dumping today. So anyway, while we were sitting, I was listening to you. I downloaded 1.1.1, right? That was it? Or did I miss a one? Was it 3 or 4 ones? I don't remember. At any rate, I downloaded it. and I have a little key at the top of my telephone screen, and
Yep, that's
connected
right.
4 ones. 1.1.1.1. So there's 4 ones, and now I have connected to that VPN.
There you
So
go.
now my queries are private and faster, it says.
Yes, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I
So
noticed.
even the tech deficient Jeff Johnson was able to do it. So if you folks out there download it, it's not that hard. Trust me. All I do is hit 2 buttons. So install, I think, and then I had to hit connect.
That's right. That's right. And there you go. There you go. Instead of being routed wildly throughout the rest of the world to a DNS server, you're just taken to a local DNS server directly. 1.1.1.1 is a local DNS server. So it just takes you locally and resolves all of your queries much faster, which is outstanding. I noticed that there was a difference right away as I was using it. And especially if you're in a remote area or something like that, you're definitely going to notice the speed at which you search. Now, you won't notice any difference for addresses that you've been to before, because your browsers store that information for a certain amount of time. But when they go back and they do those periodic checks, that's when it's going to go faster. And it's going to make it seem like you're still storing that information in the browser on the phone, even though you've dumped it. It was a lot of fun, I have to admit. I shared it with my 2 brothers, my tech deficient brothers, my sans tech parents, and a couple of my neighbors over here just yesterday. Um, and one of the neighbors came over and said, "Hey, dude, this is like insane." I said, "Yeah, it really is." I was really surprised. And he asked me if we looked at it. And I said, "Of course we looked at it, make sure we're not going to have stuff packed off and sent somewhere else." And with that reference, we're going to jump over to one of the tools that I promoted for a long time here called CCleaner. And CCleaner, it turns out, had a back door put into it, which was very sad and very terrifying, knowing that they would be able to exfiltrate information from your computer or your phone when you use CCleaner. Now, it's always good that JunkBond recommends that you use the free version, because it was only in the paid version of CCleaner that they were compromised. Again, another reason to use the free stuff. They're going over for the people who really think they need to pay for stuff, which are the people who are in reality more vulnerable because they're more paranoid. If you use, I'm telling you, if you use the low end stuff, it's going to be so much better for you, and you're going to save a lot of money. Go out and buy grandma an ice cream cone. You're going to save so much money, you could buy her 10 ice cream cones, and she'll be the happiest girl in the world. So CCleaner had a VPN setup, or what we call it. It was actually a Protocol 99. Jeff, have you ever heard of a Protocol 99?
No, I only heard of Agent 99. That's about it.
Very good. You're going to get me laughing here. I'm going to start coughing again. So Protocol 99 is what we've seen a lot of sophisticated hackers use in the past. And that is a VPN that is established by the company for legitimate purposes. And the hackers put another VPN inside of that one. So it's a tunnel in a tunnel. What do you think the odds are of finding something like that? It's not very good. Not very good at all. And most security companies don't catch it. And in this case, again, CCleaner did not catch it, and it turned out that these guys were stealing personal information, credit card information. Why? Because the product had a license and it had a key because they paid for it. So that's associated with an account on one side, which has a credit card associated with it, of course. You see, when you use the free stuff, you're not giving them your credit card number. You're not giving them your home address. You're not giving them anything. And that's the way that you should be implementing security on your home systems. If everything here in the bond facility was hacked tomorrow, I could care less. Why? Because everything that I have, almost everything that I have is on a virtual system. Easily wipeable. Easily rebuilt. Takes a couple seconds, a couple points and clicks. And nothing is stored where somebody can get to it because I use smoke and mirrors the whole time. And I'm telling you, folks, that's the way you got to go. That's the way you got to handle things. If you leave information out there, people are going to scoop it up. You're going to get problems with ransomware, right? Where they come in and they lock your computer on you because they're using some type of high-speed encryption, and you can't break that encryption, so you got to give them the money. Why? Because you want the data back, your data that they've locked you out of, all of your, quote, precious memories and everything else, right? All that stuff, you can't get to it. And you want it back. So a lot of people will pay that ransom. But guess what? These guys leave a back door on there. They do. Why wouldn't they? You paid them once, you'll pay them again. Why pay? Don't store your stuff where people can get to it. Don't leave it on your computers. Don't use a real computer. Use a virtual machine. You know, Chrome. The new Chromebooks are coming out. This is the third generation of Chromebook. The first one was okay. The second one was a little bit better. This one is really good. And it doesn't store anything on the computer. Every time you shut off the computer, it completely resets. You cannot compromise it for longer than the session where the on button is turned on. That's it. That's as far as you can go with it. So, you know, in order to be secure, you have to think about security in a different way. No, you know, gone are the days where you can sit and say, well, I've got my antivirus protection up and running. I'm good. I got my firewall turned on. I'm good. I just got my new Windows box and I've got Windows Defender turned on. I'm defended. No, you're not. And you can't keep thinking that you're safe just because you have those couple of items turned on. And I was at a session one time in Omaha, out in the great state of Nebraska. And one of the people I was on a panel discussion about hacking. And one of the people in the audience came up with a question. He said, how long do you, meaning anyone on the panel, how long do you get stopped when you run into antivirus? How do you negotiate it? And one of the guys on the panel just kind of blinked his eyes a couple times. And he said, we don't get stopped by it. We just go around it. And this linear concept of what a computer is like baffles most people when you give them an answer like that, because They don't look at access to a computer in a 3D or a 4D type of a way. They look at it as a linear process. How do you get into the computer? Well, from the mind of someone who's trying to break into it, you have all these domains that you can use. You can use RF. You can physically have someone go over there and start typing away, right? You could send a virus in an email. You can remotely try to take down by overpowering or overwhelming the router, and so many more, and numerous techniques inside of all those access methods. There are literally countless ways.
And
So
hey, Greg, and I was actually listening to you because I know another way you can do it. You talked about air gapping with your phone.
That's right.
You.
Well, if Suzanne was here, she'd say, "You get a cookie," but I don't give out cookies, so you get a full clip. That's right. You can use your phone to air gap in the same way that you connect to a wireless device with your phone. You can use that to connect directly to a computer. Like if you want to connect to the router at somebody's house because you're going to use their Wi-Fi. And I do recommend people use my Wi-Fi when they come over to my house. Please do. But yeah, you can connect to the computer like that. You can also adjust your phone so that you can connect, like I was talking about earlier, to the screen of a computer and go through there. You can connect to the fan in the computer. You can go through there. It's if you understand electronics and you understand just the basics of it, it does not take a lot of energy or effort or know-how in order to do that stuff. It's just too damn easy. So again, folks, don't pay for this stuff. There's plenty of companies out there that are giving away free versions of all their software because they want you to eventually pay for it. And you might have to put up with a couple of, pop-up advertisements from time to time. But I'll tell you, it's much better than paying for all that stuff.
Hey, Greg, I have a question, and I'm sure there's others out there that have the same thing. So, what are some of those freebies that you would suggest to us then?
Yeah, sure. I would tell you that for antivirus, still way high up on the scale is the Avast, AVAST, free antivirus. You just you have to put a little effort because you have to update it. You update it yourself. And if you update it once a week or check for an update once a week, that's good enough. That would be, that would be one of my top. The best antivirus free one is Malwarebytes, BYTES, Malwarebytes. That one's a little tricky to install, but that's still the best. Avast is a lot easier to install, and all of these products you have to manually update, which is one of the hooks they use to get you to buy the more expensive version. Spyware, I would go with Spybot, SPYBOT. That's a really good free spyware blocker. And another one is Spyware Blaster. Spyware Blaster is just as easy. It prevents things from entering your browsers. And it'll cover, I think it covers 4 or 5 different types of browsers that it actually protects. And it'll automatically detect the browsers on your computer. So here I have, let's see, I have Internet Explorer 32-bit, 64, Chrome, Firefox, and Brave. And it will automatically protect all of those for me. I don't have to do anything else about that.
And Michael in the chat says he's using Brave Roar.
Roar, yeah. See, Brave is a fabulous browser. It automatically blocks everything, and it allows things to happen by exception. Yeah, good call, Michael. Very good call. So, for example, when you open up Google Chrome and you get all these ads and pop-ups that are happening all over the place, well, you've turned off, you're not allowing pop-ups, and all this other, but these things keep coming through. Well, that's a pain in the butt as you're trying to scroll and do something. You have all these pop-ups and it uses your bandwidth like crazy. All the videos that are playing, and then you get all the noise in your ears because the audio automatically comes on. Well, Brave doesn't allow any of that stuff to happen. If you want Java to run, right, or you want Flash to run, you have to request that it happens through the Brave browser. So Brave is fabulous for that. And all you do to enable stuff is go, if you look in the URL, that HTTPS : / blah, 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 whatever that is, there's a little lock next to that on the left side. And you just click on that, and it'll tell you what's secure, what's not secure. And if there is a script like Flash or Java, you just click on that and say, okay, allow it for this site. Pop-ups, allow. Redirects, allow. Or deny, right? So all that stuff. Sound. You can, I think there's a sound button in there too. You can turn off all that audio that's eating up your bandwidth too. And I guess another tool that I would use, again, I would stick with CCleaner, but again, I would stick with the free version. And why? Because CCleaner, the free version of CCleaner has not been breached. Okay, that one is in great shape. And I would say a final part is Drill Disk. And Drill Disk is a data recovery tool that can run on your computer very simply, straightforward, easy. And it does organize, especially Windows boxes. It organizes the data storage a lot better. And it will help you if you have a damaged drive. It'll help you identify and fix the sectors on the drive that are messed up, and it'll help recover the files that you believe were lost when the drive became damaged. So Drill Disk is, I guess, the fourth component that I would definitely have. And of course, turn on your firewall. Please turn on your firewall just for the noise. Let it block all of the noise and the stupid stuff. Let it do that. If you already have Windows Defender on your system, okay, Windows Defender, is like 25% effective. So it's not as good as 30% effective, but it's still effective enough, considering if you're going to get hit with a virus, you're going to get hit with it. That's the bottom line. And there's too many good tools out there that will allow you to download onto a thumb drive and plug it in and run it from external to clean up your computer. And with that, I'll have to say, from the People's Democratic Republic of Northern Virginia, thank you for listening in today to The Spy Who Loves Liberty. I'm your host, Gregory Junkman Carpenter. Our super producer, always producing, Mr. Jeff Johnson. And we will see you folks next time out there in Cerberus land. God bless.